What if there was a podcast that did it all? Sports, politics, world events. Well, that's what we've got. You're listening to C&C Talks.
Hello, I'm Colin.
And I'm Charlie.
Welcome to episode 13 of the C&C Talks podcast. And Charlie, we're back on Tuesdays for now.
Yeah, for now. May change next week, but we're back on our normal recording schedule for this week.
Yep. Reminder that we release mostly on Tuesdays. And
Mostly.
we cover politics and world events and sports. And we're taping this on Monday, August 22nd, 2022 at about 6 p.m. Pacific time. And I'm glad we waited because it was kind of an explosive news day today.
Indeed. So let's get right into it then, shall we?
Yeah, so we're going to start with something not actually from today, but from last week, and that is the primary election in Wyoming.
Yes. Liz Cheney lost her primary to a pro-Trump candidate. She lost by almost 40 points. Liz Cheney is also on the January 6th committee and has also publicly spoken out against Trump more than any other Republican in Congress.
And
we have a small clip from her concession speech, actually.
Yep.
2 years ago, I won this primary with 73% of the vote. I could easily have done the same again. The path was clear. But it would have required that I go along with President Trump's lie about the 2020 election. It would have required that I enable his ongoing efforts to unravel our democratic system and attack the foundations of our republic. That was a path I could not and would not take.
Well, Liz Cheney there with some very powerful words in her concession speech. I want to know what you thought of them, Charlie.
Yes, I thought they were, it was quite a good speech, and I also think that more to the point, it is interesting to see that some of these non-Trump endorsed candidates are really saying that they lost really mainly because they just don't want to follow in the party of Trump anymore.
Yeah, and I think
they want to stick by their beliefs.
Yeah, I think it's a broader point too, right, though, is that there's clearly not room for that in the modern GOP, right? Liz Cheney speaking out against Trump, losing by 40 points. It's just, there's just not space for that in the party anymore.
Nope. And in New York, we have a House primary. Can we get some more on that, Colin?
Yeah, so the primary actually gonna take place today, Tuesday night, between Democrats Jerry Nadler and Carolyn Maloney. They are actually both incumbents, and the reason that they got drawn into the same district was because redistricting happened. This is the first congressional cycle with the new maps. So there's some battles between two incumbents, and this is one of them. It's a big one because they're both very, very powerful Democrats. Jerry Nadler chairs the House Judiciary Committee, which is one of the most powerful committees in the House. Carolyn Maloney, though, chairs the Oversight Committee, which is also one of the most powerful committees in the House. And next year, one of them is not going to be in Congress. And it might not be as relevant because there's a good chance that the Republicans do take back the House, which would mean that a Democrat wouldn't be chairing it anyway. But still, this is a really high-profile race here because one of these people, they won't be in Congress.
Yes, that is very much important. Two very, very important committees in the House, and one of them will not be controlled by one of these two people.
Yeah. So
speaking of New York and a rather large political figure, Donald Trump is in some legal trouble.
Gonna go there too. He's in legal trouble there, but I think it's also worth pointing out he's in legal trouble everywhere.
Yes, right? Indeed he is.
It's kind of hard to find a place where Trump is not in legal trouble, so we're going to run you through some of them. We will start with New York, though, where Alan Weisselberg pled guilty to 15 felonies. He is the former chief financial officer of Trump's company. And the reason this is a big deal is he is now going to cooperate with investigators. Part of his plea deal is that he has to cooperate with investigators or else he may get 15 years of jail time. So Trump and his business could be in really, really big trouble depending on Weisselberg's testimony. And I mean, I think it's pretty evident that Trump is guilty. We'll just see. It's a former president, so I feel like you rightfully need to have a pretty strong case.
Yes.
And we'll see if Weisselberg helps them get that.
In other news with Trump, he is suing the U.S. government for the raid of Mar-a-Lago. Why is that, Con?
I mean, there's the stated reason, which is a bunch of nonsense, and then there's the real reason, which is honestly a distraction. Right? That's the real reason. And what is this distraction from? Well, another thing that came out Monday afternoon was that in 2022, the feds have recovered more than 300 classified documents from Mar-a-Lago that he should not have had possession of. Right? It's illegal to do that. So there's a pretty big case against him here.
Indeed, there is. And this could,
Yeah.
and if he does get convicted or anything, it will send huge shockwaves through the political landscape of not only the U.S. but also the entire world.
Unless he flees to Russia, although that would also
That would also have
big.
pretty massive effects. And
Yes, it would.
in our last political segment, out of Georgia, Rudy Giuliani is a target of a probe into election interference in Georgia. Lindsey Graham is trying to avoid testifying to the grand jury, and he is also a possible target of the investigation.
Yeah, and this is the investigation that stemmed from Trump's very, very perfect phone call that he made to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, where he said that he just needs to he wants him to find the exact number of votes it would take him to win the election.
Yep.
And time for Charlie's Thing of the Week.
Yes. So in the pre-recording of this episode, we were trying to figure out what we should do for the Thing of the Week this week. And Colin just essentially said, find something from Florida. So I just looked up some news, and apparently there was a head-on collision for a driver driving the wrong way on the freeway that killed 5 people. And I just thought that that seems pretty normal for Florida, actually.
No, that seems very normal for Florida. Actually, you could take any day of the year, really, and
Find some news from Florida.
Yeah, Charlie, honestly, give me a random date of the year.
Yeah, but I don't think we have time for that, but we'll do that
No,
after.
just give me one. Just give me one.
All right. April 18th.
April 18th. This is from April 18th, 2016. Florida man celebrates Earth Day with sand art, leaves death traps for sea turtles.
Okay, well, I guess you're right then.
That sure is a celebration.
Yeah, we need to move on.
Yeah.
So, just looking at the WNBA playoffs, the Storm and Aces semifinals going to begin this week.
It could be Sue Bird's last career playoff series. The Aces are a really good team that the Storm have struggled to beat all season long.
Yes, the Wings and Sun and Liberty and Sky have to have decisive Game 3s in the quarterfinals today.
Yeah, and the winner of those two will play each other in the semifinals.
And whoever wins that will play the winner of the Storm versus Aces series in the finals.
That is correct. Let's move on to the NBA schedule release. It was released this week. There's some big matchups. We'll start with opening night, which is October 18th. The 76ers and the Celtics will play each other, and then the Lakers and the Warriors in the Bay Area, where the Warriors will raise their championship banner. I'm a little curious, though, why they keep giving these games to the Lakers, who are not good.
For me, I think probably it's because the NBA wants to see Curry and LeBron play each other again.
I mean, it is true, but I mean, the Lakers are also a joke of a team. Let's be very honest.
That's true, but if you have one of the biggest well-known names in the sport, it's good to have them play on opening day.
Yeah, speaking of LeBron, he actually just signed a contract extension with the Lakers. So he will be there for, I believe, through 2025, actually. And it may be his last contract. He also, though, says that he wants to play with his son whenever his son breaks into the NBA.
And we also have 5 games on Christmas Day this year.
Yeah.
The Sixers and the Knicks, the Lakers and the Mavericks, the Bucks and the Celtics, the Grizzlies and the Warriors, which is the first Christmas appearance by the Grizzlies in their history, and the Suns and the Nuggets.
Yeah, which of those games really stands out to you?
I think the Suns Nuggets could be interesting because at that point in the season, I think those teams could be pretty close. I think Bucks Celtics could also be a preview of a playoff series as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm kind of biased, but yeah, give me a rematch of that Western Conference semifinals series between the Grizzlies and the Warriors. That was
a pretty easy series for the Warriors.
I don't know, but but I feel like that has the potential to be a rivalry for the next few years.
I think it does.
Yeah. Some other games
We also have a game in Mexico City between the Heat and the Spurs on December 17th, and a game in Paris between the Bulls and the Pistons on January 19th. I am actually beginning to notice that a few of the major U.S. sports leagues are really beginning to branch out because the NFL has 2 games in London and a game in Germany this year.
At least that many, and the MLB is bringing back their London series next year. I believe it's the Cubs and the Cardinals that will be playing each other in London.
Really? Cool.
Yeah. The date on that is still to be announced, but at some point next year. And then there's finally the NBA schedule. So rivalry week now, which will be capped off by a Lakers-Celtics showdown on January 28th, which I would tell you to mark your calendar for that one, but it's the Lakers.
Think it's going to be much of a game.
No, unless the Lakers get Kyrie Irving, do we agree that they're doomed?
Essentially.
Okay.
Why do I get the feeling that around this time I don't know, let's just say around early spring next year, we're going to be playing this clip back and realizing how much of an idiots we are?
I really hope that doesn't happen, but
it will be fun. It will be funny.
I don't want the Lakers to win.
Speaking of the MLB, we have the playoff hunt is really heating up.
Yeah, we'll start with the AL wildcard race. At the time of our taping, it could be different by the time it airs. There's actually a 3-way tie for all 3 wildcard spots between the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Mariners, with the Twins and the Orioles sitting 2.5 games back of all 3 of them. So, do you think that those are the 3 teams that'll make the wild card, Charlie?
No, I think the Orioles will bump off the Rays, and the Mariners will be the number 1 seed behind Toronto.
So the number 2 seed.
Yeah, sorry, no, they'll be the number 1 seed ahead of Toronto.
Okay, but you think that the Orioles, who sold at the deadline, are actually still going to be?
I could see them doing it.
I mean, I've been surprised to see that they've stuck around as long as they have, but I could see that they have what it takes, especially if Adley Rutschman, who we'll get to in a minute, continues his production.
Honestly, anyone Boston and above, I could see making it. White Sox.
Well, not Boston.
Boston could even do it if they come back.
They won't, though.
Texas is not going to do it. LA is not going to do it. Kansas City, Detroit, and Oakland are essentially already out.
Correct. Let's also talk about that Mets-Braves NL East race, which was not much of a race until the Braves just won. I believe it was 3 or 4 from the Mets.
Yes, it was 3 of 4.
Yeah, Mets now lead the Braves by 4 games in that division. Mets have an easy series this week against the Yankees.
Speaking of slumping, the Yankees, what's happening to them?
Their offense has collapsed. Their pitching has also kind of collapsed. What?
They were really starting to compete with Houston for that top spot. Now they're 4 games back of that top spot.
They were on a historic pace. They were on pace to get to past the 2001 Mariners. They were on pace for like 118 wins at one point. But now they're a disaster.
They're on pace for like 90 something, right?
Ooh, I think they'll get 100. But do you think
They
that there's
will.
a chance that the Blue Jays could catch them? Or I guess the Rays, but more likely the Blue Jays could catch them in the East? Something
I'm
that,
hoping the Blue Jays, because if the Mariners make the playoffs, I don't want them to play the Yankees again.
yeah, but do you think a month ago we said that race was locked up? But what's happened?
Yeah,
in
the
your view?
Yankees' offense is slumping. The Blue Jays are heating up when they need to.
It's going to be an interesting final month of the season. There's that three-way AL Central race that's currently going on. Do you like the Guardians to stay ahead?
I do. I think they are going to struggle a little bit against the Mariners, but I think they'll be fine.
I really hope that they struggle against the Mariners.
I do too, man. I do too.
And I think that another interesting question is some of these awards races. We'll quickly run through the NL ones. Paul Goldschmidt almost certainly going to win NL MVP. Sandy Alcantara almost certainly going to win that NL Cy Young. Rookie of the year in the NL is more of a question between two Braves rookies, Spencer Strider and Michael Harris. But the AL ones, it's really interesting. First of all, Judge or Otani? Charlie?
This is really interesting. If you had asked me like a few weeks ago, I would have said Judge by a lot, considering his home runs. But he's cooled off quite a bit. I would say Otani. I would say if you put Otani in any other team except LA, he would be the reason that team would go to the playoffs. But it's the Angels, so they're never going to do that.
Yeah, this is what I would say, which is right. Judge having a great offensive year, one for the record books, no denying that. But he doesn't pitch.
That's true.
Is Otani the best hitter in the league right now? No. Is he the best pitcher in the league right now? No.
Is he the only dual player in the league? Yes.
Yes. And if you put Judge on the mound every fifth day, I think that you would very quickly learn that overall Otani is better.
Indeed.
And is really having a better season. Let's also talk about the AL Cy Young Award. Do you think Verlander's going to win it somehow again after that injury?
I could see Otani winning it.
Do you think what?
I could see Otani winning it. Like, I do think Verlander has a good shot, and I think he will end up winning it.
I think it's shocking how he's managed to come back and have this good of a season again.
I agree.
And then Rookie of the Year, we would have said that Julio Rodriguez was a lock, but now Adley Rutschman's catching up somewhat. Does he have a chance of passing Julio?
I don't think so. I think Julio's got this.
I want to believe you're right. I also, though, think that the awards voters don't like the Mariners.
No, they usually don't.
Yeah. And finally, Albert Pujols is currently sitting at 692 home runs. This is his final season.
He's gonna get it. He's gonna get 700.
Really?
I think so. Especially if the Cardinals make the playoffs.
I don't think the playoffs count.
They don't?
I'm not sure.
I think they do.
We'll have to look at that.
Even if they don't, I think he can get that in the last month and a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's possible, but we will see. Let's move on, though. Deshaun Watson, his suspension has been extended to 11 games, and I think, really, Charlie, it's just not enough.
I agree.
It's not. And he sexually assaulted 30 women. That should be at least a year, right? At least a year.
Yeah, if not ban.
If not several years or permanently. I don't know. Jamal Crawford hosted a Pro-Am in Seattle, the crossover. LeBron James played at the event, and the line was a mile long to get in. Which says to me, Charlie, Seattle needs a basketball team.
Well, they're gonna get one. I think they will. Especially, there is an NBA preseason game, I believe, in Seattle.
Yeah, between the Blazers and the Clippers. That's at the very beginning of October.
And I do believe that that's a test to see if Seattle fans want one, and clearly they do. So I think this is just the last little test, and if it goes well, I think Seattle's going to get a team. I think they'll
I think that when the NBA expands, which I think will be soon, it'll be Seattle and Vegas.
Yeah, I agree with that. Las Vegas has been expanding a lot recently.
Yes. Hockey, football.
hockey, football, and they could maybe even snatch up Oakland at some point. The A's.
I mean, the A's need a new stadium. We know that.
I mean, yeah, they need a new team too.
Yes. The Crawford's Pro-Am, though, it did have to be called because the court was too slippery, right? Because of the humidity. Also, someone in there pulled the fire alarm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not smart. There's a couple things left. Marcell Ozuna was arrested for driving under the influence. He's previously been arrested for domestic violence. There's actually some body cam footage that we'd like you to listen to.
How you doing, man? Sorry.
You're good. I'm off North Cross.
Yeah. I'm out soon from the bridge.
Hey, the reason I'm stopping you're speeding on this road. Yeah, you're going pretty fast. You know what the speed limit is?
No,
45. 45, man, yeah. You also failed to maintain your lane when I passed you.
Really?
Yeah, you're passing. Right.
Sorry, my man. I appreciate it. Hey.
Whose vehicle is this?
I'm not mine.
That's yours?
Let me get.
Alright. Hey, Marcell, real quick, man. This next one, all I want you to do is seal your lips around this tube, take a deep breath.
I cannot do that.
Why's that?
If you wanna make me in jail, make me in jail.
Okay, so you don't want to?
I don't wanna do that.
Okay.
I did all of that.
That's fine.
Hello, that's it. You wanna, I did. I'm honest to you.
Face my car, put your hands behind your back for me. Alright. You're under arrest for DUI.
No.
Hold on, stop.
Excuse me.
Put your hands behind your back. Good.
Well, what you say?
Face my car.
What you say, my man?
Marcell,
Excuse me.
face my car.
Hey, pull it.
Put your hands behind your back.
You make me in jail?
Good. Okay.
I'm doing you what?
I got 10 under you. Fix these.
Police, where you, man? Why you like that, my
All right. Wait right there, man. Don't move.
Well, no, he was clearly drunk there, but also the Ozuna from the Braves, an announcer, actually when he stepped up to the plate, made fun of it. He said, and up steps Ozuna from the Braves. Let's move on now to the Seahawks preseason, where we have some thoughts, to put it mildly. What was your impression of?
Yikes!
It was bad.
Yes, that's bad.
We couldn't do any single skill. We couldn't kick or punt. We couldn't
Defense.
We couldn't tackle. We couldn't catch. We couldn't throw.
We couldn't run.
We couldn't run. I'm going to be completely honest.
Nothing went right.
I'm going to be completely honest. Third stringer Jacob Eason outplayed Geno Smith.
Yeah, no, we should start Eason.
Well, I'd like to see Drew Lock first, and I think, in my opinion, you still have to give him the starting job, right?
I mean, he's had COVID the whole time.
Yes, but he should be a starter, right? Geno Smith looked awful.
Yeah, Geno's looked terrible.
Everybody looked awful, though. Let's be clear.
Yes, but he looked especially awful in the midst of awfulness.
Yeah. Dodgers announcer got injured after going down Brewers mascot, Bernie Brewer's slide. He broke 2 bones in his wrist and cracked 6 ribs. That's a yikes.
We wish him a speedy recovery.
That's also what Bernie Brewer said who handed him a card that said 0 days since last incident, and then slide instruction manual. It isn't that hard. Signed, Bernie Brewer.
Nice.
Yeah. And finally, we got to talk about an anniversary of the firing of Thom Brennaman from calling Cincinnati Reds game. He gave a legendary apology that we'll show in just a second after saying a gay slur on a hot mic. His apology was interrupted by a home run. Take a listen.
Through this game, as Holland takes over on the mound, I made a comment earlier tonight that I guess went out over the air that I am deeply ashamed of. If I have hurt anyone out there, I can't tell you how much I say from the bottom of my heart. I'm so very, very sorry. I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith. As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game. I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again. I don't know if it's going to be for the Reds. I don't know if it's going to be for my bosses at Fox. I want to apologize for the people who signed my paycheck, for the Reds, for Fox Sports Ohio, for the people I work with, for anybody that I've offended here tonight. I can't begin to tell you how deeply sorry I am. That is not who I am, and never has been. And I'd like to think maybe I could have some people that could back that up. I am very, very sorry, and I beg for your forgiveness. Jim Day will take you the rest of the way home.
A clip that will live on for eternity, Charlie.
That's just incredible.
I know, right? And that's also going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Make sure to subscribe. We have episodes available every single Tuesday, I guess. Maybe. Available everywhere that you listen to your podcasts. Also, check out our new website at cctalks.net. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at cctalks podcast. For producer Morris, production designer Zach, co-writer Drake, I'm Colin.
And I'm Charlie.
We will see you next week, everybody.